Hi, and welcome to the Milk and Honey podcast. I'm your host, Lemon Price, creator of Pricelessly Imperfect, a Girl Power Alliance Field Advisory Board member, and a dog rescuer. This podcast is for Christian women who want to step into their kingdom leadership with all the confidence in the world. Inside, we're going to be talking about ditching antiquated views of womanhood as it relates to the kingdom, how to grow a business with God at the forefront, and stewarding all the provisions and talents God has given us so we can grow the kingdom. So whether you're a woman looking to launch her business or you're a seasoned pro, there's something here for you. Let's dive into today's episode together, shall we? I am so excited about today's episode because I'm bringing on my friend Molly Trotter-Gomez, and we are going to be talking about what it means to show up confidently on camera. So Molly Trotter-Gomez is an on-confidence camera coach. She's a former ESPN reporter, and she's got a degree in journalism. So Molly knows a thing or two about what it means to show up confidently on camera. Molly is also the co-founder of Girl Power Alliance. She's also the field director, and so she's in the trenches with women every single day. And so I'm really excited to have her perspective with us today. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Milk and Honey podcast. I am so excited to bring my friend Molly on today. So Molly Trotter-Gomez, I know you guys just heard her amazing intro, but Molly is just a wealth of information, especially when it comes to all things camera and showing up confidently. And so I knew she was a perfect person to bring on here today to talk to you guys. So welcome, Molly.
Thank you, Lemon. I'm super excited to be here.
I'm so excited. Molly, do you want to tell them like a little bit about you, stuff that maybe we don't know?
Sure. I always like to start long story short because that's what we all want, the Reader's Digest version, right? So I live in Southern California, married, no kids yet as of 2022. I went to school to become a news anchor and reporter. And I got into that because I wanted to really be able to make a difference, be on a big platform, to have somebody good that's in there to give people a voice. Or a place where they can share their voice rather in their story. What I quickly found out is that the news is very toxic, and I was like, not the place. But I learned a lot of really great skills. And now, to be honest, like 2023, going into 2023, everybody literally needs their own show. There's no excuse. We have lives on every platform, podcasts, like you can literally go live and share whatever you want with anybody, quite literally at any time. And so for me, I've been able to do that for a number of years. As far as professional, accolades go, I've been in network marketing, digital marketing, on-camera confidence coaching that I did for a long time. But all of that is in the past now. Great skills that I've taken from that. And I am now one of the co-founders and the director of field development of Girl Power Alliance, which is a platform to help women grow personally and professionally. So you can get access to these live calls and courses and even certifications when it comes to leadership and speaking, to really be able to just hone in on your craft, your desires, your voice, and go share it with the world. It's also an opportunity where if you know other women that need something like that, you can share it and create a passive income. And that is my pride and joy. I love it because I love women being able to step into their authority and getting out there and really leading from the front.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I can tell you guys that Molly has been so instrumental in my own growth and change and the way I show up. She's the reason I'm in Girl Power Alliance because she had to like pursue me hard. I don't even know if I told you, I was so on the fence about GPA. And it's Glenn that convinced me. My hubby convinced me. He was like,
I remember that.
This was
I was like, Lemon, I love the name. She's in here. Let's do it. I was just intrigued. The reporter in me has never died and it never will. So I just wanted to know more. I'm like, by the way, you need to be in here. Let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I remember our first call. That's when we were like dealing with all of like the crazy stuff going on with the kids' school. And we were like going to the school board like that day, the first day you messaged me, you're like, how can I pray for you? And I was like, actually, we're about to go address the school board about an issue in our kids' school. And you were like, okay, great. Like, nice to meet you.
Hey, I don't throw those words around just because it's cute. And it actually drives me nuts when people do. How can I pray for you? I'm like, are you actually praying, or is this just something that you want to say because it's nice? Like, I don't need nice. I want like real prayers. Both is great, but you know what I mean?
Yes. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if I ask if I can pray for you, I got to pray for you right then and there, or I'm not going to remember to do it. And I have like a prayer app to like write people's ongoing prayers down. It like reminds me like, oh yeah, prayer mate. It's my favorite thing. I'm like, you guys need it for the prayer call so you can write everybody's like ongoing things down.
Oh my gosh. It would be full, but I love it. I love that. It's so intentional.
So one of the things that I wanted to bring Molly on for is because she's an on confidence camera coach, and she just did this incredible call last night, actually, with everybody at GPA, going through her course that she has inside of GPA, and just talking about what it's like to show up confidently on camera. And so I wanted to ask you, like, what challenges do you feel like Christian women specifically have when it comes to getting on camera?
Gosh, number one is they don't feel like they're good enough. The worthiness, the self-worth is just gone. They're like, oh, I hear it all the time. I'm not like looking the part. I don't sound the part. I don't even know what to talk about. And so many people just expect it to just happen. There is so much work that needs to be done. In the call last night that you're referring to, it's funny, like three-fourths through the call, I'm like, this really became more of a mindset call, really than like on-camera confidence. But it's so needed because mindset gets thrown around all the time. But before you go share your story on something that's recording or live or in front of other people, we're always thinking about all the worst things. We got to prepare. We've got to prepare our mind, our heart, the message, be clear, concise, confident. There's a lot of things rolling around. And needless to say, life is still happening. So, like, the doorbell could ring, the dog could bark, the phone could go off, there could be all these things. And it's okay. Life is still going to happen. So a lot of women just get that block of like, somebody else can do it. No, sister, you need to do it. And you need to start today. Go record a video, go share it with Lemon, share it with whoever, come inside the Girl Power Alliance community and share what you've learned on this podcast. I don't care. People are going to learn from you. People are going to be like, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. And when you start that ball rolling, you're giving permission to other people who have just been doubting themselves. And the enemy wants you to stay in that place. Because if you keep doubting yourself, then his job is easy because you've already chained yourself with your disbelief. But you really have to be able to be like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to press through it because somebody else needs this. And honestly, it's low key kind of not therapy for yourself. Sometimes it is, but it just feels good to be able to share of like this experience. I went through it, but here's something that I can give from it.
I love that. One thing I wanted to talk about and is that when you're talking about like life happens and things happen, right? So you're a reporter, and isn't there like a blooper reel somewhere or something? You're like, I have a bunch of like, go watch. You're always saying like, go watch my first YouTube videos and all of these things. Can you talk about it?
Yes, I believe I'm like whenever I tell people to go to YouTube, I have some of my like reels from when I was a reporter and anchor on there. My blooper reel, I think I have a little bit on there, but every once in a while, like on like Facebook memories or other things, like some will come up. And one of my, I I don't know why this one's on my brain right now, but there was a winter and I was in Spokane, Washington, reporting up there. And there was a winter where this lady crocheted like 250 beanies, right? Well, I've never seen the word crocheted ever in my life spelled out. So I'm on live television. And I say crocheted. Like this lady crocheted 250 beanies. And I just said it with a straight face, the confidence in the world. And then we go to break. And I was like, they were like, wait, what did you say? And I was like, oh my gosh, I just said crocheted on live TV. And I lost it like in the best way. You have to laugh at yourself. Like that is funny.
Yeah, I love that story, right? That's one of my favorite stories where you're like, yep, I did that. That happened. And it could have derailed you so much if you didn't set yourself up for success, right? Because you're like, I said crocheted with all of the confidence in the world because you'd already done the work to keep moving forward. But if you hadn't, the enemy could have easily taken that piece and you could have like walked away. You could have been like, I'm actually not good at this job. I'm not, this isn't for me. Maybe the calling was wrong, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the enemy will take any leeway, any crack, any nook cranny. He'll take it all. And you know what? Whenever I see the enemy trying to like do that, because I'm like, wait, I know you're coming. Nope, we're not going there. Like you get really more sensitive and aware to that. And half the time I'm like, actually more than half the time, I'm like, I take it as a compliment. I'm like, you see me clearly as a threat. Great. That means I'm doing what I need to be doing. And so many people don't want that confrontation, rocking the boat. Get out there and rock the boat. Get out there and share your story. Allow people to learn from your experience because it goes so much deeper than you just going through what you've gone through.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, so I made a post about that a few weeks ago. Like the enemy is not going to bother you if you're not a threat to evil. And so then with women showing up confidently, right, they're going to deal with a ton of haters. They're going to deal with a ton of backlash. And so how do you deal with that when you're out there sharing your voice and your story?
It's going to happen. So just buckle up and get ready. It's going to happen. And this is where emotional intelligence is huge. There's going to be people that don't like it. There's going to be people that love it, people that leave you for it, maybe excommunicate you, whether they're friends, family, who knows. That's okay. When you start speaking your truth and you're doing it out of love and grace, that's a key part. You got to do it out of love and grace. You're going to have people that are going to come against you. Like Satan can use, like pride will come up in somebody and they come against you because like, no, you're wrong. How could you say that? Whatever. When you have enough emotional intelligence and you spend enough time in the word to know this is what God is calling for me in my life, you have that discernment. It doesn't matter who's for it or against it because we're not of this world. They may never see it, but it doesn't mean that you stop just because, your closest people to you don't like it. It's not up to them. And you're the one that's going to have to answer to God that said, oh, sorry, like my mom, my husband, my brother, my whatever, they didn't like it. And I didn't want to upset them. Has nothing to do with them, has everything to do with what God's put the calling on, or the calling that God has put on your life.
Oh, I love that. I can speak to that personally, right? So because I'm a Christian, neither one of my parents have spoken to me in 4 years. Minimally. They don't like that my husband's a Christian. They don't like the things that I talk about. They don't like any of it. And so they cut us off completely because
Wow.
they just didn't like what we had to say. And so whenever I tell people, like, listen, like I've been there, I've been doxxed twice. And so it happens. Like, and every single one of those things could have kept me from being where I am. Right. And I started my business like, my gosh, almost 8 years ago at this point. Right. And so every single one of those things, if I quit, I wouldn't be here right now having this conversation with you at all.
Yes.
Seeing the impact of sharing my voice and all those things. And so I say that to say, like, I've been through the worst of it. Like, and so it's okay to show up and like people are going to disagree and they're not going to like it, but it doesn't, I don't know. I don't think it matters personally.
Right. It doesn't, because it's not for them. If they don't like it and they want to speak against it, clearly it's not for you. So you get to bless and move on to the next.
Bless and release is what I tell everyone. Just bless and release. Because you're not really offending them, right? You're offending like the sin and stuff in them. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Your voice is needed, even if one person hears it and has a transformation because of it.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's so talked about. I don't even know if that's really the right phrase, but you know what I mean? Like people don't talk about that nearly enough. It's like whether you have influence over one person or 1,000 people, like get going anyways. It doesn't matter who's engaging, who's listening, like somebody is absorbing that, and people get lazy where they don't like, comment, share, whatever, because there's so much content that's out there, but people are watching, they are listening. And you just got to get out there, obey, share, and God gets to do the rest. So you have to show up, get in action, be obedient, and then God gets to take care of the results. And then you just get to reap, the blessings and the harvest from that. But so many people want the harvest first, but there can't be a harvest if there's no seeds planted and no watering and no time, right? Like it takes time.
I love that you just said that because that's something I've talked to so many women about. They're like, this is taking, 6 months to see any results. I'll like one person on my team, right? She didn't enroll anybody for her first 6 months. And we just talked about this on a live stream. She was like, I had to do so much pruning and so much consistency for people to see that I was going to be consistent and stick it out. And she is like ranked up like 3 times in a month, which is amazing. And she's seeing the harvest because you have to be obedient and consistent in that obedience.
Gosh, that's so good. Like there's so many people that see the overnight success, which isn't even real, people. It's not real. It is fake. You don't see, it's like the iceberg picture. We've all seen it, 20% up top, but you don't see the 80% of the berg that's below the water. And that's where the early mornings or late nights or the sacrifice or the whatever that God is asking them to do, you don't see that. And so people think, 6 months and I'm going to make 6 figures. No, may not even take a year. Maybe take 2 years. I ask people if it took you a year or 2 to make $10,000 a month residual, would you do it? Even if it took you 2 years, and people still said yes, because try to go find a job that's going to pay you $10,000 a month that, doesn't suck the life out of you and, and you're still working for somebody else. But in the industry of network marketing, specifically in our opportunity, being a digital platform, women are already wanting personal growth. They want a way to make money. Bing, bang, boom. let's get it moving, right? And so the advantage that we have being digital, also no one's doing what we're doing, because the only reason network marketing companies even put personal development into the mix is because they're like, oh, wait a second, if our people grow, our sales grow. Well, let's just focus on the people growing, and then you can use that as mentorship, and then also let's give people a resource and they can do it. So now you're really actually, the focus is people growing, and it's not on look at this face cream and this hair serum and this whatever. Not saying those things don't work and aren't great, but you know what I mean? Like, let's keep it simple and let's start with the root. So I love that you said that that person, after 6 months, she had to do a lot of pruning. There is a lot of pruning, but we're just like, okay, God, where's the harvest? He's like, you haven't even started planting seeds yet. Like, we got a long ways to go, sister.
Oh, I love that. I love that you're talking about seed planting and all of these things, because I want to talk about how social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, etc., right? Every platform has something live, right, that you can do now at this point. I want to know how you think it's changed how we like view and interact with like faith leaders.
Oh gosh. Well, it's just made things way more readily available. I mean, especially during the pandemic. Why? Because a lot of churches shut down. They started putting their stuff online. And even if they didn't shut down, they still put their stuff online so more people can interact with it, right? I think it has been a huge blessing for sure. Blessing in the sense of, more eyes can get on great messages. Now, not all the messages out there are truthful and great. Obviously, there's a catch-22 to that at times. But then, there is also a catch-22 in the sense that it can bring in laziness too. It's like, when it comes to church specifically, go to church, get in person, be in community. You need that. Don't just sit behind YouTube and watch, oh, here's the latest thing. Like, go engage in that environment. But for other leaders now, outside of the church, and it doesn't really matter if they're in or outside of the church, the global reach is what's amazing. You can put something up on YouTube, and YouTube is more of like a search engine where you type in to search for something, right? And anybody can have access to that like that. And so that's what's super cool. Instagram is, although it's social media, it's a great search engine, super easy to navigate. So I think it's just helping get these messages out there. And we need more of them, right? There's so many people that have great revelations and are men and women of faith, but they're not standing up and talking because they're like, oh, I don't really need to say that. Somebody else can. Or, they don't believe in themselves. Why? Dig into that. And then you can even share those revelations later.
Oh, I love that. Okay. So I want to talk about a few things, right? It's people feeling so fearful to share their voice and like passing the buck off to somebody else. So like, how do you get somebody to take that step, right? Like, how do you inspire somebody to be like, no, your voice is needed?
Honestly, I give them a gentle push. And I'm like, look, when they want to come in, like I have women that will come to me and be like, okay, I need to do this thing. And here's my situation. And as they're sharing what's going on, they're literally answering their own question. I'm like, well, if somebody on your team or if somebody came to you asking you, what should I do? What would you tell them? And then they're literally giving themselves their own advice that they'd be given to somebody else, but they need to take it. And they're like, oh, got it. But it's about new disciplines and getting into action. Like, you can't expect 2023 to look different if you do the same thing that you did in 2022. You need to invest in yourself. You need to, have a gratitude journal. You can write things down. You need to create an impossible goal in the sense of it's impossible for me to reach it alone, but I have to partner with God to do this because it's not going to happen otherwise. Something to really pray on, right? Like, there are so many things that you need to do differently, but we're scared because we just focus on our circumstances, and God doesn't want to keep you in that box. He wants to be able to break it out and expand, and for him to get you to realize, in a sense, like, look how big I am. Like, if we can raise Christ from the dead, like, we can definitely resurrect your situation too. But it's just like, are you patient enough and willing to surrender to his time over yours?
Ooh, I love that. I just recorded, a couple episodes ago. I was talking about how many women tell me that women have no place in leadership. They have no place sharing, they have no place, talking on stage at a church. They have no business like being faith leaders. And they always quote Titus 2 to me, 3-5. And so I was talking about, I'm like, God didn't put you in a box in Titus 2. He just said, hey, do these things too. Right. But there's so many examples of leadership. And so I would love to know your advice to somebody who feels like they're stuck in a box and can't get out and share their message.
Well, let's break the box. If you feel like you're stuck, let's break it. The thing about our minds, it's very simple. If you believe you can or you can't, you're right. So stop telling yourself what you can't do and tell yourself, okay, we're going to do this now. How do we do it? And then your brain's going to be like, okay, well, okay, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, maybe let's try that. And if not, you got YouTube University over there to start Googling, how can I do it? Because you can find both arguments, but believe in yourself, being like, I need to do this because there's other people on the end of this that are going to be able to get breakthrough from what it is that I'm sharing. And that's not coming of a place of self glory. That's glory for him. And that's you stepping forth, being vulnerable and sharing, like, hey, this is, my experience. Like, people want to hear more of that. They're tired of the perfect facade that everybody else puts out there.
Oh, yeah, I love that. That's one of the things I loved most about going through Radiant Leadership Academy. So if you guys haven't, if you're new, it is a 16-week ICF accredited biblical leadership program that we offer inside of Girl Power Alliance. And I've gone through it twice now. And my favorite thing was listening to other women sharing their takeaways and sharing their voice. I text Michelle so many times and I'm like, I took more notes listening to these other women and hearing what God was doing in and through them than I did listening to you speak. Not that you didn't have great insight, right? But hearing, especially because every class is going to have different women with different experiences. And so hearing every single person's unique voice was game changing for me. I think that brought me more transformation than anything else, is hearing how RLA was transforming them.
That's so good. Because then it goes so much bigger than you, right? It's like, I know how it's transforming me, but then you hear it for other people and you're like, hey, this really does work. But like, we don't know how things truly work unless somebody shares. The only reason why we've bought the clothes and accessories and the food and the different things is because, hey, you know what? Somebody shared something with us, or we had an experience and we're going to go back and do it again because like information was shared.
Yeah.
Like, that information is meant to be shared. Like, it's not meant to be, stay in. Like, there's always some kind of benefit for the most part that can happen.
I love that so much. So I always like to just take it back to scripture, right? So if somebody's struggling with confidence and showing up, are there some scriptures that you would share to help somebody know that this confidence, right, comes from the Lord and that they're meant to do this?
Yeah. So I have a couple scriptures. The first one is Hebrews 10:35-36. So do not throw away your confidence. It will be richly rewarded. Verse 36, you need to persevere so that when you have done the will of God, you will receive what he has promised.
So good.
So
that was good. Okay.
2 Timothy 1:7, for the spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. That one is, the self-discipline part on that one is slept on by many, but super powerful to, press in on that. And then the last one is Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, and they will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. And again, that's just referring to it's his strength, like we can only go so far, but we have to press in on his strength and we can go so much further.
I love those so much. And I love that you pulled from the Old Testament and the New Testament, because something I always hear is, well, that's just an Old Testament thing, or that's just, so it doesn't apply to me anymore. Thank you for pulling from both, because, God did create us with a purpose, and that purpose is to share. Right? Like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I was like, all right, Lord, what scriptures do you want me to, share? Because when you asked, I was like, ooh, this is good, but the Hebrews one is the one that stood out to me the most, because it's like, look, like, and when in doubt, what I'll do is I'm like, scripture about leadership, scripture about confidence, and go to your friend Google, and like, you'll be able to see that and really be able to, oh, wow, okay, great. Like, whatever you're struggling with, scriptures on ... Like, don't just sit there and feel like you have to do it alone. Like, it's called the living word for a reason. And, I love it because like I've read, certain scriptures thousands of times, but then it's like that 1001, I was like, wow, like I just got this new revelation, and I just love how that works. But so many people don't even crack open the Bible to ever realize that that's a thing.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. So I'm going to have to send you, like, I have a concordance, and it's like 4,000 topics that are in the Bible and every scripture that pertains to them. And it's the best thing when I'm like, my kids are like, oh, I have a question about this. Like, what does the Bible say? I'm like, oh, well, hold on, children. Like, we've got a big old list for you of everything that God has to say about this, so you can get a holistic view. And I love that you've given us a holistic view on confidence and what that looks like.
Yeah.
So I would love to know, like, what tips would you give to women who are like, all right, like, I'm going to do it. Where do I start? How do I do this? Like, what tips would you give to them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, start messy. Don't just say I'm going to start because you're in the moment and you're like, oh, it sounds good. Like, be committed to yourself. Like, right when you jump off of this, turn on your phone, record a video, go live, like, do it. Just go do it. Don't think it, because the more we overthink it, the more we're like, I'm not really sure. Go do it. Get out there. And then what I always like to say is whenever we want to share something, I always like to say, okay, what's your topic? Like, what do you want to share on? Whatever that is. I always have a pen and sticky notes. And so I'm like, all right, topic, point A, B, C. Perfect. So then I have this with me and I'll even refer down to notes, or I stick it on my ring light or something like that. Because think of it this way, no one's asking for your perfection. Even like Oprah Winfrey has notes. Okay. She has an iPad. She got something. Like, you can have notes. It is fine. And then just make it short, sweet, to the point. So when you write down 3 bullet points, you're not like all over the place. Like, and I tell people 5, 10, 15 minutes, like, you're good. Now, if that stresses you out, it can be shorter. And I'm a fan of short form content. I mean, shoot, Instagram has 15-second stories, right? Like, if you can get down to that, people will just eat your stuff up. But give yourself some time and space and grace to practice. Don't compare to Lemon. Don't compare to me. Like, don't compare to anybody else who's been doing this for a long time, because there are thousands of hours behind how it is and what it is that we do. But it's always still a work in progress. So just like going to the gym and wanting to lose 30 pounds, you're not going to do it by sitting on the couch watching Netflix for hours and eating poor food. Like, you got to go make a discipline and put the work in and then work out the kinks along the way. Like, that happens with everything. And so just be committed. Be committed, go do it, write your 3 points and make it happen. And just keep doing that consistently every single week, daily if you wanted to, and you'll get better at it. And it's just, yeah, it's going to be beautiful. And I know that because I've seen so many women do just that, and their confidence is just through the roof.
I love that. So Molly made us do this at Activate, actually. I'm going to like throw back to all the way in September. We were in Dallas at the launch of Girl Power Alliance, and Molly was up speaking, and she's like, all right, everybody get up, like, find a partner, go record yourself, like, go live for a minute, or record a video and go post it right now. And she was like, do it. Literally, like, yelling.
Yep. I was like, I might as well drop the mic. I was like, bye. And people are like, you should have saw people's faces. They're like, I was like, yeah, see ya.
Yep. She was like, listen, I'm setting like a 5-minute timer so that way you can both go, like, figure out what you're going to say and go do it. Have a good 5 minutes. And it was so good. I saw so many lives and people who hopped on camera for the first time ever, which was so inspiring.
Yeah, I did that on the training last night. I said, who's going to be committed to doing this right after? And I think there was like dozens of people that said they were going to do it. 3 people did it. 4 people did it. And unless they didn't tag me in it or whatever. And I was like, so it shows discipline, commitment level, and what you're committed to. Right. And it's like, not to shame or anything. That's not what I'm doing. It's just like, I know life hits, your brain starts telling you, no, protection mode. Let's not do that, because we're thinking of all the things that could go wrong. I'm going to be like, just go do it. Just go do it. And sometimes I even have to give myself a pep talk, and I'm like, I'm overthinking this. And then I just take a breath and I press like live, and I'm like, okay, you better figure it out, and even if you fumble, it's fine. Like, people are okay with that because they want the real you.
Yeah, I love that. That goes back to that verse in Timothy about self-discipline and being truly committed, because that's the only way you're going to get better, is to just be fully committed and fully in. I remember my first lives, they were terrible. When they show up in my Facebook, like, memories, I'm like, oh, that is rough. Like, you look and sound real bad. But I'm so thankful I did it. Because now we're here and we're doing all the things, which is really exciting. It's stepping into new territory. Awesome. I just want to thank you so much for being here today, Molly. If you guys want to learn from Molly teaches an on-camera confidence course, right? I've got to get that right. She also teaches you all kinds of things inside of GPA about speaking and your soundbite method and all kinds of really amazing things. And then we're getting ready to start a Radiant Speaker series that Molly is also going to be teaching. And that's like a certified program, right?
Yes. You're going to be able to become a certified Radiant Speaker after you're done with it. So we are so excited for that, because there's literally one or two certifications out there and we're like, oh, this is blue ocean. Let's get in there. I love it.
I'm really excited because how often do we get to learn from other Christian women too who are walking the walk? And so you can come hang out with me and Molly inside of Girl Power Alliance and you can learn all the amazing things from her. I promise every conversation you will leave learning something new. She is absolutely amazing. So thank you again for being here, Molly.
Oh, thank you, Lemon. I just love that you're doing this. And I know you're going to bless so many lives and ears and hearts and families by putting this podcast out there. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to the Milk and Honey Show. I hope this episode has helped you feel more confident in the calling God has for you so you can lean into your purpose and impact. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a second to rate and review. Each review helps us to help more Christian women entrepreneurs just like you. Don't forget to take a screenshot, share it in your Instagram stories, and tag me at the Lemon Price. I'll see you next week.